Hello, everybody. It's Fernando Labastida once again in another episode of Martechify, where we share best practices and learnings from corporate CMOs, marketing directors on how they're applying marketing technology into their businesses. We're really happy to introduce Ingrid Sierra here. Ingrid is the CMO of Finfare, which is a technology-based financial platform for small businesses, and Ingrid will get into a little bit more details as to how small and medium businesses are using Finfare. But where are we reaching you right now? I think you're in London right now, right, Ingrid?
Absolutely, yeah. I'm currently in London, although our head office for Finfare is in Southern California.
In Irvine, correct?
Exactly, correct.
Exactly. Okay, great. Well, Ingrid, I was just so that our audience can become a little bit more familiar with who you are. Why don't you walk us through a little bit about your career trajectory? How did you get started in marketing, and what led you to being the CMO of Finfare?
Yeah, sure. So interestingly, I started like many years ago in France, as you will get from my accent. Probably I'm originally from France. And I started working in consumer marketing, what was at the time called below the line, although that distinction doesn't seem to exist anymore, which is probably a good thing. Uh-huh. And the reason I chose consumer marketing at the time is because we had data, we were using data, and we had a little bit more insights on our performance than brand advertising had at the time. Also, I didn't know then that everything would end up being very data-driven, but that's really helped me navigate various areas of marketing. So that was in telco, and then every single of my
in telco, that was
in telco, yeah, for a mobile,
yes, exactly.
yeah, a mobile service provider. Uh-huh. And the way I've although it wasn't conscious until I realized it recently, I've always kind of made my career moves by using what I have built and add some layers to it. So after this, I moved to retail telco in a little bit more of a broader marketing role, still in France. And that was for the French branch of the Carphone Warehouse, the mobile phone retailer, the UK retailer. And that's how I moved to London internally, and where I got my first international role, actually, which has been really the thing I've been probably the most passionate about since then. So in that role, I was heading up the CRM function for the European countries, and following that, I moved to the loyalty space, again in an international role where I was heading marketing and products for the creation of digital loyalty programs. And that got me to Finfare, as we have currently basically two kind of product offerings. One being, as you said earlier, on the fintech side with expense management solutions for small and medium businesses, including line of credits and that kind of stuff, as well as rewards programs for businesses that we provide via API or white label, including range of rewards and using open banking technology. So that's how I got here.
That's fascinating. So what can you give me maybe a use case scenario about how a business would use the rewards platform utilizing the API that Finfare provides? I'm very curious to learn about that.
So for the API, it's pretty simple. It's usually businesses that already have an existing rewards program, and basically they would ingest our offers and content via this API. So it's a very simple implementation, and really what we do in that case is most of the time enrich the rewards offering for that business. On the other hand, we also have what I mentioned as a white label solution for businesses that don't currently have a program. And basically, we use our white label to obviously brand it with our clients and partners' identity, etc. We curate the rewards for them, and then they invite their customers to join the program. So that's one use case. And the great thing about it is that So it's cashback programs for most of it. So customers earn cashbacks with affiliate offers, vouchers, different type of offers. But that can be redeemed in any single currency or type of value that customer have. So for example, we're currently working with some gamified platforms that offer crypto rewards. And then what customers get is actually cashback that is converted into cryptocurrencies. So the scope is expanding massively. And as we are using open banking data, obviously the kind of level of personalization you can achieve with your rewards is growing massively.
So when you say open banking data, and excuse my ignorance, but is it means that are you utilizing the blockchain at all, or is it? Or
so basically, when customers register to the program, they sign up with an open banking solution, which means that we obviously in a very secure and controlled way, we get access, and depending on their consent, obviously, we get access to some of the transactional information from the customer, which allows to personalize the rewards they would see.
Got it. So, I'm always, whenever I walk around a new city, like I'm in a city called Querétaro right now, which is in Mexico. And I'll see little boutique coffee shops here and there. And I always think, well, how can they drive more loyalty, similar to what Starbucks does with the Starbucks famous, stars, et cetera. So, for example, would you be able to work with a smaller chain of coffee shops or whatever, so that they can then offer some kind of a reward card for people buying?
Yeah, absolutely. We could. And we actually do that for some smaller businesses as well, because unlike like the kind of very large enterprise rewards program, we're more affordable and quicker to implement because of all our automation. So it could totally work for smaller businesses who want to offer cashback rewards to their customers.
Okay, great. So I'm very fascinated by the fact that you're a CMO. So CMO obviously focuses on marketing, acquisition, et cetera, but you're also very much integrated, or very much steeped into the whole loyalty thing, which I see is part of marketing. What do you see as the dynamic between new customer acquisition and loyalty?
I think it's very much a balance. I think, and I mean, we've seen that like everywhere for many years, but it's real, right? It's a lot easier in a way, and for sure cheaper to retain a customer and take care of a customer than acquiring a new one. So for me, it's always a matter of really having a look at KPIs on both sides to balance your efforts and your budgets, because yes, you can invest massively in acquisition, but if you don't put anything in place to actually extend the lifetime value of those customers, you're just like throwing money out, right? So, and I've managed sort of both sides of the equation for a very long time, and I'll always try to keep those two in check when working on action plans, KPIs, etc., to make sure one is not forgotten, because obviously the acquisition side of things is always more visible, more shiny, gets a lot of more people excited in a business, but at the end of the day, the retention is equally important. Obviously, the retention side is not only down to marketing, so it's really a matter of working very, very closely with the success teams, the support teams, etc., to make it happen.
Right, and I'm sure even also the engineering teams or the product development teams as well, huh?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I always thought it was very interesting, sort of like that pipeline between, customer facing, what are the clients experiencing that they're not satisfied with? What do they wish they had? What are they having problems with? And then that going into, new product requirements, with agile development teams, et cetera. I don't know if that's, if that's something that that you all do at Finfare, or how does that play out with you?
Yeah, and I mean, I've been, to be fair, I think in probably my last three roles, it's been a very important part. So whether you have like very, very so when I was at Carphone Warehouse, for example, we during my time there, we launched NPS as obviously a great measure for all of that. So there you would have very clear action plans for every single part of the business, and there would be like reporting very, very regularly on who was doing that to improve their metrics, because it's a combination of both that creates the magic, right? And we would have like an entire room where we would have the entire customer journey mapped and really identifying flagging the touch point NPS as well as the overall NPS to really see where the pain points were and where you need to work on them. Because obviously the overarching thing is greater than the sum of all those individual touch points, right? So
exactly.
So and obviously in the retail business, then you have so many more things that are also sometimes harder to control than in a SaaS business.
Yes.
So yeah, and then from my pure loyalty experience, you also have obviously as a provider of loyalty programs, a lot of your revenue is tied to the usage of the program from your clients' customers, right? So it's really a matter of, again, working on how to engage customers with the right offers, etc. So they use a program, so your clients' KPIs look healthy as well. So yeah, so it's always been, the end customer has always been a big focus of mine, obviously, as well as the acquisition.
And the end customer, even though you might be selling through a two-tier system, so you might have your initial customer, which is the retailer, and then the end customer being the consumer, you're still wanting to keep in touch with what the end user's experience is.
Exactly, absolutely. But even with our expense management and line of credit product, right, we are staying very close to how customers use that line of credit, because if we can grow this and we support small businesses with their growth trajectory, then we are a very much stronger partner to them. And obviously, again, it's much better for us to increase the line of credit of one of our loyal customer rather than acquiring many more. So yeah.
Okay, fantastic. So I want to get into your Martech stack in a little bit, but I'm very curious to know about Finfare's marketing strategy. I don't know. Have you been with them since their inception, or did you come?
No, I joined. So the business is just over 3 years, and I've been here for a little bit over than a year. So yeah, roughly 2 years in. Well, I mean, we've covered some of that already. Really, for me, the key things. I mean, the key things for my first year was really to kind of build a marketing function and build a team. Right. So I've put a lot of effort in. As I said before, I'm very passionate about like building diverse international teams and a strong culture in the marketing department. So I've spent a lot of my energy in my first year doing that. Right. And building a team with like a lot of various background skills and very diverse, in order to kind of get us ready for incremental growth. And really this year for us it's really all about acceleration. So so definitely doing a lot on acquisition specifically for our two line of products I mentioned. Right. Doing a lot to get our brand out there. So we spent a lot of time last year working on our brand strategy or new brand identity. So now it's a good time to get the brand more out there on diverse channels through PR initiatives, etc. And then from a more like go-to-market and product marketing point of view, it's a lot about preparing for the future products we're going to launch and that are in our pipeline. So less visible, but equally important. And here it's a lot more work with our product team, where the rest is a lot more happening with our revenue team, obviously.
Great. So how do you? So first of all, how do you approach lead generation and customer acquisition, and then also the flip side of that is branding. I'm sure, content creation on social media and on your own websites, as well as you talked about PR. So I'm sure there's got to be some kind of a podcast strategy or something like that. I'm just kind of curious to know about, how you're doing some of these things without having to reveal company secrets.
So in terms of content, obviously we've aligned our thinking around obviously what we want to be known for and our content pillars, and really spreading it across all our channels. In terms of the execution, so as every CMO, I think I'm very much looking into AI, and but trying to have an approach that is extremely structured in terms of focusing on the outcomes we want from the tools, rather than trying to kind of get into the hype of tools and then just lose track of what we're even trying to do because we're just testing tools and wasting time, right? So
Yes.
I'm forcing everyone to kind of start from a very outcome driven benefit point of view, and then we look at what are the tools that are gonna get us there. But I'm really hoping to increase velocity thanks to that this year. Mm-hmm. And in terms of our acquisition strategies, so we have a sort of much stronger revenue team and revenue operations since last year. So where the year before I was working on it a little bit more on my own. Now we're really teaming up together. So making sure that everything that is done from a direct reach point of view is very much aligned with what we are doing from a marketing point of view in terms of targeting, and really providing content and thought leadership that would help us create demand initially. So we're really working from on the full funnel and breaking things down between how marketing can contribute and how sales can contribute.
Perfect. So I'm sure that touches on things like sales enablement and,
Exactly.
Exactly. Okay.
It touches on, on account-based marketing, on making sure we capture intent data, we qualify our leads as much as we can, as well as obviously things that are a bit more broader in terms of our awareness about our products.
Yeah, perfect. Well, and you touched on something that I wanted to get into a little bit more, which is sort of the use of AI tools and getting to the end result that you want to get to first. And you actually wrote an article about that in the website for a guest article for builtin.com. Yeah. Marketing teams are at risk of AI hype burnout. Here's how to avoid it. And you were what I really liked was you talked about the dangers that marketing teams can get into when they're constantly bombarded by all these shiny new AI tools, and they could waste a lot of time, trying to figure out how to use them, how they can implement them, etc. But if you could summarize the article for me, because I think it was really.
I think you've summarized it very well. And to be honest, I think it started from my personal experience. So I'm part of quite a few networking groups, etc. And obviously everyone talks about AI tools, and I love these things. So at the start I was excited about experimenting with things and learning and testing things, etc. And I got to a point where I was spending quite a lot of my free time just testing things, and as we know, not all of those tools are there yet, and everything is evolving so quickly that basically if you want to keep track with everything, that's the only thing you do, right?
Yeah.
So I was I tried to be a little bit more to put a little bit more intention in what I was doing, and obviously so what I do personally is I have on my Notion page, my personal Notion page, I have a list of all the tools people share that I categorize. So if one day I need to kind of look at something specifically, I don't know, for video content creation, I'll see what was there. But I do it with intention. And then I realized that it would probably be the same thing for my team. Right. So that's when I said, okay, let's really have a structured approach. And also, let's face it, I mean, we talk a lot more about AI since it's become conversational.
Yeah.
But it's been there.
It's been there
for many, many years before, and we've all used it, and we just didn't put a name on it, just because we couldn't discuss with it, right?
Yeah.
So it's also a matter of like, when we have certain tools that we know have been really good for us, very strong, rather than jumping to the next new thing, let's look at what AI capabilities have been included in those tools, although it was not called AI before, like, I don't know, SEMrush, for example, and then see what we have with our current suite of tools, and then we can think about how to switch or add new tools when needed.
Yeah. So you probably look at a pro-con scenario and say, okay, is it worth replacing SEMrush with this new up-and-comer, et cetera?
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that approach. I think more CMOs really should kind of have a sort of a systematic approach like what you're talking about, and talking about, how it can actually help with the tasks and the strategic objectives that you're already doing.
Mm-hmm.
How exactly are you at Finfare using AI? Are you using it to actually create original content, or using it more to generate ideas or to repurpose content? Like, for example, a lot of people, me included, I'll do an interview, or I'll actually do a video where I'm looking into the camera, and then I'll use AI, first of all, for the transcript, and to sort of repurpose the transcript for LinkedIn posts, et cetera. And then also take tools like Riverside to create short videos of it. But I'm just curious as to at what point in the content and marketing process are you all strategically using AI?
So I guess it really depends on who in the team is working on what, right? So I use AI mostly as like my assistant outside of the creative process. Right. But then, so I guess a copywriter could use it to kind of, and using SEMrush, for example, actually, to kind of identify content ideas for blogs and to feed our calendar and stuff like that.
Right.
And then someone who's actually and that would be just an idea generation. Then they would add their personal element to it. But then then AI would come again later on to, as you say, to repurpose the content for different formats, for different lengths, etc. So it's really, at the moment, for me, it's really about like helping with ideation and a little bit of kind of execution. And so the designers use it obviously for like everything around resizing, animations, and all of that kind of stuff. So I'd say very much a sort of a before and after the kind of pure human creative input.
Yeah. Oh, I like that. I think you talked about that in the article. That sort of like that before and the after. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And okay, that's fantastic. So let's get into your Martech stack. Off camera, we were talking about a little bit about it, but I think right now for your CRM, you're using HubSpot, correct?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. But then you've enhanced that with Customer.io. So I'm really curious to know how Customer.io is helping you, especially with your kind of like two-tier approach, between you and your retailer, et cetera. So go ahead.
Yeah, so Customer.io is really giving us a kind of, let's be honest, a kind of cheaper solution for emails and with high volumes. So as I said before, when we're thinking about the end users of our white label programs, that's a lot of customers that we get in touch with regularly to promote offers, etc. So for the B2B2C element, we really needed a tool that was allowing us to kind of build email templates very easily, and obviously like manage all that outreach. So we did look at a few different options, and we are very happy with Customer.io. Obviously, that doesn't at all replace HubSpot, which is like the core of how we work to set up all our automations and journeys with the sales team, the marketing team, the support and success teams, and and we're heavily reliant on HubSpot for that.
Yeah, absolutely. But it seems like as though you kind of implied there's a large volume, and maybe from that I've got to believe that a large volume of personalized or customized emails to all the end users of all your
exactly
your B2C clients.
Yeah, exactly, and a lot of transactional emails as well for everything that is about like the admin side of a program when customers sign up, create their login passwords to the programs and all of that. So yeah.
Golly, so does that volume go into the hundreds of thousands or maybe even millions of emails? Or
Yeah.
Okay, gosh. Okay, good. So customer.io it seems like as though that's a very specific purpose that it has for that kind of thing. But HubSpot obviously as the core, hub for managing all the other stuff, right? And anything else that you want to mention in terms of your Martech stack that's helping you?
Well, I mentioned SEMrush before,
right.
Obviously, as I think a lot of people use. And then we use, obviously, the different platform for ads. We use Hootsuite for the scheduling of all our social activities. I'm probably missing a few here and there, but yeah.
Yeah. And SEMrush is really good. I know that, both SEMrush and Ahrefs and Moz are all kind of up there in terms of keyword research and being able to identify opportunities to rank, for keywords in high traffic areas, et cetera.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And so what do you think is the most, I would say, exciting thing coming down the pike, I guess, in the next year in terms of marketing technology or AI? Anything that you're excited about, that you're working on, that that's not top secret, that you could care to share with the audience?
I guess I'm pretty, in terms of AI, I'm pretty excited about like where we're gonna go with video and creating video from prompts, because I think it's not been amazing so far.
Yeah.
And so obviously we don't have access to it yet in the UK, but last week when I was in the US, I tested Sora from OpenAI, and I was like very, very, very impressed. So I think there's going to be a lot to come on that. And really, I think we're really going to get to a point where you'll have a little bit more of the kind of, and you see that in Sora actually, where you have a little bit more of the kind of creative input in that AI creation. So rather than just having a prompt that gets you something, you'll be able to kind of tweak it a little bit more to your needs with some like more precise things you can do using the output from AI. And that's going to become really, really powerful. And also, like for small businesses, it creates an incredible opportunity to actually compete with much larger brands, right? So So I'm excited to see that.
Exactly.
That too.
And is video currently a part of the marketing mix for you?
It is. But to be fair, not exploited enough, and we're going to massively focus on that this quarter.
Yeah. I love video, and I think that there was a video that I saw the other day. It was actually an interview between Nathan Barry and some creator out of Australia, but the essential part of the interview was that more and more companies are going to have an in-house creator department, not creative department, but creators. So companies themselves are going to become creators, or there's going to be a creator within a company that's going to be, creating creator type videos, like, the typical videos you see on Instagram where, somebody doing a makeup tutorials or doing or what have you. That a lot of that is going to be coming in-house, and now companies, even B2B companies, I would assume, are going to start, doing creator type videos for that. So I'm excited for what's coming down the pike for that. And I think Sora could possibly play a really cool role for that.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So the last thing I wanted to ask you, if you have any predictions for 2025 for Martech or for AI, you talked about Sora, but any other kind of predictions for 2025 do you have for Martech?
We've seen huge growth in the number of Martech tools, again, thanks to AI becoming like the hype. And I don't have the answer to that actually, but I'm wondering if we will get to kind of a tipping point, and then we will start seeing a little bit more consolidation of that. I mean, I'm sure we will eventually, right, start seeing a little bit of like a consolidation of that market, and whether it will sort of make that landscape a little bit like easier for people to navigate, or then it will be like fully like owned by a few players, which might be the case as well, right? So I'm looking forward to seeing how that evolves. But for me, it's really getting into a deeper level of detail of everything we can do with what we have. Mm-hmm. And as I said before, using the kind of new features of the different tools we have is super important. So we can, but again, like doing all of that with intention and an outcome in mind, based on our quarterly objectives.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that. I think that we are kind of being overwhelmed with just the amount of options out there, both AI driven and not. I think almost everything is actually being AI driven, and there is probably going to be coming some kind of a consolidation coming down the pike. Mm-hmm.
And the other thing I think for me that I want to focus on as well is to really like focus on the quality of our content, because again, with AI, a lot more content is being created. Mm-hmm. And I think if we really want to kind of focus on obviously adding value to our prospects and customers and thought leadership, etc., having some unique proprietary content, etc., is going to be critical. So I really want to focus on that as well.
So tell me a little bit about that. I mean, how are you defining quality? You just mentioned sort of like unique proprietary content. Is it in the area of more advice for small businesses, or
it could be, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's yes, exactly. I mean, for me, it comes from really getting to the kind of next level of details of where you're going to add value to your audience. So right. That, and obviously you can use tools along that journey, right? But being very, again, intentional about it. So identifying, as we said before, what are the potential pinpoints where you have something that you can help with, and messaging that in a format that is going to be easily accessible by your audience and used there. So basically it's keeping that kind of reality check and focus on the customer,
right?
Rather than just like exploring the infinite content ideas you can get everywhere.
And when you say, really keeping the focus on the customer, do you mean your retail customers, or are you also talking about the B2C customers as well?
It could be both. So. Mm-hmm. So for example, for the customers for our expense management product, etc., it's really it goes from like having obviously asking them for their feedback very often, having conversations with our success teams who talk to our customers every day, etc., and really identifying where we can add value. And that goes with obviously feeding the product roadmap with features that are coming from that, as well as creating content for them that goes, whether it's in our social channels or via our in life journeys, etc. And from the loyalty side, it's the same for our clients, but for the end user of the programs, again, same thing about like making sure we evolve the experience based on their needs, and the content there actually means more having the right offers for what they want to use. So it's a slightly different use of the word content, but yeah.
Yes, exactly. You know, I think that I think it's so important to be able to identify, you know, like we talked about the expense tracking thing, and you know, I love what you said about how there's kind of like a bifurcation. You know, you're providing feedback to the product team as well as to the content team, so that you can hit them on both sides. Like, we're going to improve this feature, but we're also going to provide content that can help them get unstuck from this area, and then that increases customer satisfaction and loyalty. Kind of going back to your life as somebody involved with loyalty as well. Yeah. Great. No, that's fantastic. Well, Ingrid, this has been such a fascinating interview. Thank you so much for spending time with us today here at Martechify. And if somebody wants to learn more about Finfare or about you, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
Probably LinkedIn.
Yeah, Ingrid Sierra on LinkedIn.
Exactly. Yes, absolutely.
And if anybody is ever in the Irvine area or in London, maybe they can meet you for coffee or whatever.
Yeah, I'd love that. Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, great. And everybody, thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you all next time in another episode of Martechify. Bye, Ingrid. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.